Hey up everyone, what's going on and welcome back to York City, where there's two big games for us today. A Carabao Cup final against Manchester City and an FA Cup 5th round match against Burnley. Surprisingly, it's the Burnley match I'm more excited by. Long-term fans of the series will understand why. And for those of you that don't know the history of Burnley, I'll explain to you quite quickly. In fact, it's relatively quickly. We only played them ever twice in league format, but it's not the league matches that really matter here, although the first of those was pretty good as well. Our history of Burnley is the fact that Burnley were the first of the current Premier League sides that we faced. We faced them in the FA Cup 4th round back in 2022, and we lost them 1-0. It was a tight game. They scored a penalty. We had to play a send-off very late on. But it's a game that we could have easily nicked. At that point, they were in the Championship. They had been relegated. They were actually relegated in the first season, which shows you how well Burnley have done, / how much they're underrated in the game. However, our story with Burnley didn't end there, because 3 years later, we were offered a rematch against them when we were in the Championship and they were Premier League once more. And we smashed them 6-0. 6-0. It was one of the key moments in this series. Lloyd South, a name I don't recognise anymore. I do remember the name. Edgar, Leitao, Enrique, Jesus, Alonso, who is now back in the Premier League as well. I think we covered that. And Ebersbach, who is actually... Is he back in the Premier League with Watford? I can't remember if Watford are in this division now or not. But it's weird that some of these players that have gone abroad have come back again. And that was one of the key moments. Of course, we then faced them in the Championship after they got relegated that year from the Premier League. And we smashed them again at Turf Moor. 4-1 this time. And they did get their revenge, however, later that year. But that was the year we got promoted from the Championship. So who's laughing now? And sadly, Burnley have actually not escaped that situation in the year since. They were actually nearly relegated straight from the Championship that following year as well. The year that we beat them 4-1 and they beat us. That's the year we got promoted. They nearly went down twice. Since then, largely stabilised, mostly in playoffs. In fact, they've been in 4 sets of playoffs and have lost all of them. But that's our history of Burnley right there. It's short, but it's important. And it's the reason why we're bringing you it now. Just the 3 games since we last saw you. Of course, 2-1 Sheffield United, we won that one. Aston Villa was surprisingly tight considering they're bottom of the Premier League and we are running away at the top of it. A 5th minute penalty was the thing that decided it. We just couldn't convert, frankly. That was the problem. Not quite as much of a problem when we faced Newcastle. 2 early goals, one by Azata, corner. Gonzalez and Carpentier got the 3. Andrein got 1 from them. And then a 0-0 against Sporting. It's poised the second half more than I thought it would. And we may actually end up covering it along with the Chelsea match that follows it in the next episode. But of course today, Manchester City is a Carabao Cup final. I did realise, by the way, I think I forgot to suit up for the Champions League final, and for that I deeply apologise. Obviously any cup finals this year, not going to bother because we've already won them. And I did put it in the end of one of the recent videos as well, that I forgot about the Club World Championship. I just presumed it was in December because that's when it was this year. I don't know enough about the Club World Championship, if I'm completely honest, to know when it's scheduled normally. But obviously it was in December this year because Liverpool had major issues in trying to compete in it. But I guess it's not done at that time every single time because it's at the end of this season. So that'll be the conclusion, I think, because I think it does fall after every other cup final. So that will be the last part of our journey with York. It's the Club World Championship is... Sorry, I'm just looking at my team right now because there's a lot of yellow cards, right? Well, I say these yellow cards. It's a cup final. Who cares? Sorry, not quite fit. Yeah, we'll improve him. In fact, it's a neutral venue. I don't need to go defensive. I went defensive in both those. I went for the defensive playmaker in both those away games. Newcastle have been dangerous enough this year for me to... Essentially anyone in the top half away from home, I play that now. I ain't taking any chances. We lose one more game and then we can only reach 33 wins, which is the record. And really, there's no important news on this front. There's a few new contracts have gone out, by the way. People asking for them and not wanting to wait till the end of the season. There's a couple that I'm going to do at the end of the season just to ensure their futures with the club a little bit better so they don't get pawned off as soon as I start simulating, essentially. There's a lot of people whose contracts run out at the end of next year, which I'm worried about. So I'm just dealing with most of those right now. I think Shaw's got a new one already. Cantoro's got a new one. I gave one to Vidarson, just by the fact he didn't ask for one. I just saw it was 2034 and panicked. And then I realised I don't need to do them now. I could do them literally at the end of the year, so I don't have to pay them too much now. Keeps them happy for the rest of this year and hopefully kicks things on. Christian's going to be in goal. Saxton, Moreno, Zata, Shaw, Nan. Nope. Fiore. Brill, Vidarson, Carpentier, Cantoro, Godoy and Gonzalez. We know that front line now, those 4 there, the alliterative nature of them. Although, Godoy 6.64. He's just come back from injury though, bear that one in mind. He's only played 1 game since then, and that was a substitute appearance. As, of course, he's lacking in match sharpness as a result, so we'll see how this one goes. It's a Carabao Cup final. I would like to win everything in the final year, but if I don't, this is the one I'm not overly bothered by. Of course, a familiar face in their line, Mr. Courage. Although they have gone with their second choice goalkeeper, Mr. Mehmet Man. Of course, probably third choice to the original all this. He's got the aerial reach, he's got the reflexes, and he's got the height. But the rest of his goalkeeping ability, he's worth 1.7 million at Manchester City, so I'll let that say everything. Against a front line of Godoy and Gonzalez, this could get interesting if we take our chances. Show everyone your ball winners. I really don't think I've seen that one before. I mean, it's probably been there, I just haven't seen it. Mr. Costa punts that one forward as Zata. Imperious. Carpentier just gives us straight back to them though. Good recovery work by number 20, I think that's Gonzalez, but didn't quite get the ball. Two strikers facing off against each other right now. Cantora intercepts that wayward pass. Christian's been back passed to. We've negotiated that. Minefield. Godoy. Left back's got a bit confusing because Moreno is now officially the best left back as well. Gonzalez has put a shot on target and it's gone past Mr. Man, who I am now going to refer to as Mr. Man every single time. Now Godoy gets on the end of this lovely punt forward and finds Gonzalez in the box. Mr. Courage runs away from him, thank you. And, well, Mr. Man right there was Mr. Flappy, more than anything. Our first shot in the game, it's gone straight in. Hang on, sorry. We've played 12 minutes of the game and we've had 20% possession. That's enough of the game for us to have more than that, surely. Carpentier has been passed to. Vidas is on the edge of the box. Mr. Man's made a save. He actually made 2 in that highlight. He's not a terrible goalkeeper, but I know, at very least I know from my England duty that I don't think he's got much more potential than he already is at. So it's curious that they've put him in goal unless he's played the entirety of the Carabao Cup so far, because of course he would have been their number 3 rather than their number 2 for most of this season, because they just sold their main goalkeeper to Barcelona for reasons unknown. Cantoro finds Gonzalez again. That's gone near post. Why is nobody putting that in? I mean, it's gone in. I don't know how it's gone in. I don't know why it's gone in. It's being offsided. Was Godoy offside when the original Gonzalez shot was made? Is that what's going on here? Okay, he was. So that's why he didn't actually go for it. But he did. I'm not quite sure how that's actually counted. It was hard to tell there, but even at that distance, it looked like the defender kicked it against Godoy. And therefore, that shouldn't have been offside. But oh well. Provided it doesn't count at the end of all this, I'm not going to be too angry at that. Gonzalez, Courage takes it off him, and it's gone to Azata. He's one of those ones that contracts up at 2034. We'll be giving him a new one at the end of the season, or if he asks one before then, and doesn't agree to the end of the season. Broyle, Carpentier, Godoy. One thing I have realised, by the way, is Malinovsky will arrive before the Club World Championship. Not that he's going to probably play a part in that, but because he's Scottish, in the Scottish leagues, his contract runs up a month earlier, and therefore he'll arrive at the end of May. And I think some of the Club World Championship is in June, although I may have to register a squad for that before he arrives. Cantoro, though, can put this one in. Godoy, Vidal, not really. Never mind. Courage punts that one clear, everything's fine again. Although, no, Saxton's dealt with Rosie there. Just dealt with him. They are overwhelmed, apparently. The Manchester City side sitting in second in the Premier League are overwhelmed by feedback in the cup final. They just lost to Huddersfield, by the way, so they're even further behind us now in the Premier League. We are having a season. Essentially, think of us right now as the Liverpool. We lost at pretty much the same point of the year as well, which is confusing and appropriate. Anyway, that's found Saxton. Saxton's found Carpentier first time. I feel like you'd never see that from fullbacks, and Godoy is not match fit. I often feel like match fitness, particularly match sharpness, I should say, particularly when it's sort of that 80% marker where he's at right now, I really feel like that doesn't necessarily play in too much. Might have played into that. Also, if they're like 50% match sharpness, and then that's usually quite worrying and does show up. But it'd be lovely to actually see if there's actually any experiments done by people to know how much that actually makes a difference. We've had 32% of the possession in this cup final. 4 shots though, and 5 clear-cut chances. Sorry, 5. We scored 1, he saved 4. If they're all 4 the on-target shots. Get to half time. I've not done any shouts. There's some pressure being applied here. Mehmet Man being charged down by both strikers. Cantoro's going to get... No. He headed it on and then just didn't run after it. Not sure why. And defensively, Rosie's through. May have been offside, though. He wasn't. He wasn't. Well, clear-cut chance from Manchester City. They've scored it. But here comes Rosie coming through now. It's, well, that's gone in. It's gone in. Is what's happened there? It's gone in. I don't know what it is about Fiore, but he always gets demotivated when I tell him they've not been good enough. As far as I can tell, there's nothing in his actual profile that would trick... Excuse me. I mean, if we could get shots on target, that would be nice. I mean, they're just punted that straight in. It's headed out by, I think, Azata, who, of course, a god, but Carl Robinson has punished us a little bit there. Mark Mueller. I feel like I've underplayed Burrell quite a lot this year, considering how he's developed. Christian gathers that quite easily, which means possibly a highlight for us as we look to build from this. Now, the way with Carpentier, we'll get on the end of this. What I was about to say is, if you look at both of our inside forwards, they're a little bit off the defenders at those goal kicks. Fiore is just fighting against 3 people now, seemingly. Rosie, we'll get on the end of this, finds Curvo. This is probably going to make its way over... No, it's found Rosie, actually. I was about to say number 24 was going to be the recipient of that, but excuse me, Azata, that was unnecessarily. Cantora's been error-prone, has he? Has he really been error-prone? Is that something he's been? All right. Yachenko is on the bench, largely for penalty-taking purposes if it came to it. But right now, I think what we need is a Mr. James Grimes in the middle there. As we switch to a 4-3-3. I mean, Broyle's not been brilliant either. And Vadas is only on 6.5. It will take place after this free kick, corner. I know, set pieces. Was Azata not at the near post there? What happened there? Anyway, Grimes is on. I think Azata's at the back post for some reason. Vidarson will gather this one. I don't know why it seems to have undone my... I mean, obviously I'm on a different tactic now, but what was the point of that highlight? Anyway, they brought Chris Tipple on, I notice now. He might have been on the entire time. Gonzalez finds Moena. Saxton. Any problem with a cup loss, even in a cup final, is it just destroys morale more than it should. Anyway, Grimes. It happens at every level. Hello, there might be a mistake here. No, Moment Man's gathered that one. If you would like to release the ball, I mean, I'm fairly certain he held on to that for far too long there. Gonzalez, play Carpentier, and yes, thank you. Put it away. Carpentier's on a 7.2. God knows how. Irritatingly, I think I've got to go back 4-2-2 here because I want to take Broyle off. And I've got no one else I can change for that situation. And then shower right back as well. Well, Mr. Man, he's given it to Dominic, actually. That's right in front of him. Jamaica and... Not even going to attempt his name. I butchered it before. I'm not going to butcher it again. Zombies-like, I can say perfectly fine. If that's how it's actually meant to be pronounced, of course. But, okay, they found Rosie. Rosie's been intercepted by Morena, who... What a man he is. Worth every penny of that 99 million we spent on him. Yachenko's found Godoy here, and Godoy has equalised. I was so close to taking him off instead of Fiore there and bringing on Ramirez to swap over with Carpentier, but we kept firm with the strikers. He wasn't playing badly. I was just concerned because we saw him. Well, I'm not really certain what Mr. Man's done there because he was running man there, and he's onside. He was well onside, well timed. I mean, he's just run at him, is what their goalkeeper's done there. And will this go straight to penalties? No, it is extra time. Saxton's demotivated now. What is with my fullbacks? All right, I've turned him around. We're good. Extra time does put the Burnley thing in a bit of peril. Thank you for that going wide. Who's that? Hang on. Godoy's got the ball here. He's given it to Gonzalez. I think Godoy's been fouled in the process there. And can we go back and take that free kick instead? Oh, what? Did we get a corner, actually? We got a corner. Carpentier into the box. No one there. Grimes finds Azata. Azata's at the back post. I don't know what's going on here. We'll just quickly have a look at those corners. Yeah, for some reason, they were the wrong way around on that side. Just that side, though. Do get a fourth substitution, and it's staying 2-2. Any problematic penalty takers can come off. Oh, the worst one's Bradley Saxton. Rick's got 12 penalty taking, actually. That might be the thing to do at the very, very end of all this. Saxton for Rick and then swap Moraine to left back. Although we have a highlight, and I'm going to go slightly less attacking because they've not switched off cautious here as... Nope, they don't get away with that one. I'm actually, bizarrely, at 2-2 in extra time, I'm going back because I don't want to open it up, because we're getting a bit tired, of course. They don't want to open us up too much for the counter, and they've not gone attacking yet or anything even positive. They've stayed cautious the entire time. Godoy, though, said that weird. He's hit the post. Was that the third woodwork or fourth? I don't know if it updated in real time there. Vidasa's knackered, in fairness, and probably should be the one to... Sean! What are you doing? Well, now we have to go attacking. I don't have any other midfielders to bring on. Vidasa's going to have to stay on the pitch. Right, there's 3 minutes of extra time here, and I'm going to probably have to do something bold. I'm going to still do that thing I was going to talk about there and see what happens. Nothing is the answer. Nothing is what happens. Thank you, Sean. How did they score 2 goals from a corner? Admittedly, one came from Azata actually winning the corner. Because I was going to say, how have they managed to score from 2 corners when we have Azata in the side? 193 centimetres of defensive beast, who wins every header that comes to him. But one of them actually came from Azata's headed clearance. Anyway, Burnley next. Well, apologies if you can hear a fan. It's too hard to record even without it. At least we got that record. 25 goals in the Carabao Cup run in. Admittedly, 12 of them were against Northampton. Watford did get promoted. We play them very soon, actually, so that's where everybody's back is. So 3 of the lads we sold off to countries elsewhere are all back in the Premier League now. Ebersbach took the long way around via the Championship, but they're all back now. Velasquez at Tottenham, Alonso at Southampton, I want to say it was, and then Ebersbach at Watford. He's just come back from injury. Oh, Bellingham. He's 29, so it's not like his career's done or anything like that, but the most useful utility player. He's like the James Milner of our squad. He's only 29, so he's not like old or anything, but he's very much that James Milner player who can step in anywhere where we need him, pretty much. But he's got at least 2 people ahead of him in every single position, so... Now, the FA Cup is an opportunity for a few players to step in that won't necessarily get to play anywhere else because obviously registration rules. Shanahan's suspension also means Meluso is a pretty obvious better right back for this one, although he's returning to fitness himself. 75 minutes, fine by me. Fiore can go on the bench. Bear in mind, everyone's just played, a lot of these players have just played 120 minutes. So Rick comes on, swaps with Azata, because Azata is actually left-sided. Kovalev at left back. Grimes in there. Is Seri back fully now? He is. Yurchenko can start. I was tempted to play 4-3-3, but I think we'll be alright. The back can have a game in goal, because why not? Washington, I'll tell you what, Washington makes the bench. He doesn't kick up any fusses, but about not playing. Despite the fact he's now good enough to be there. So a lot of rotations in this one. Labad will come in goal. Kovalev, Rick will be in the side. Meluso will be Grimes and Seri in the middle. Yurchenko on the right. Ramirez on the left. Gonzalez and Dahl will line up as the strikers as well. Keeping Gonzalez out there. He's the most potent striker we've got this year. Other than Carpentier, who doesn't actually play striker most of the time. Dahl, though, continuing to develop. I like it. I like it a lot. Now Premier League level, I think. Yep. Not scored an amazing amount so far, but... give him more game time, he should develop. It's slightly irritating they decided to play for Norway. With the previous game running over a little bit, we might just take a little bit of a focus off this one. I'll probably end up cutting any chit-chat that goes on during highlights that don't go anywhere. Ramirez has been found, and he will run mostly across the pitch. Grimes finds Gonzalez, though, and foul, foul, foul. Chris Draper says it's a foul. Malta Depner. Fine. Gonzalez will step up as... Gonzalez must be on the actual penalty taker list because Yurchenko should have taken that with his 19 penalty taking. But it helps inflate Gonzalez's goals for the season, I suppose. And, well, there we go. Pass through. I mean, the goalkeeper went the right way. Fair play. Mr. Alderdice McDoe. Don't know how that ends. Donald, I'm going to guess. Despite the fact we've played 120 minutes just 3 days ago, we've rotated, but... our players, surprisingly, at least on par with theirs fitness-wise. Kovalev just charging right now. Still charging. He's passed it back, actually. He's dodged the tackle of Vaquero. Don't know why I said it like that. Yurchenko's in space. Well, he didn't need the penalty. He can score of his own regard. Although, irritatingly, he would be on a hat-trick now if we'd given him the penalty. But Yurchenko's 5th goal of the season from very limited appearances. The early appearances from Yurchenko were actually kind of worrying. He was sort of very low down in the ratings. He was averaging 6.5, 6.6s in the appearances I did give him at the beginning against, the weaker Europeans. I say weaker European side. We had a group of death, didn't we? But the early Carabao Cup rounds and things like that, he wasn't performing. But now he has 5 goals in the second half of this season. At the very least, Ramirez is going to find Seri in the middle. Yurchenko's on the right-hand side. Probably not a goal from him now. No, he's been dispossessed. And it may be a chance for them, in fact, unless we can get the ball back here. Well, the good news is we did get the ball back, and it's been put through to Gonzalez, who has rounded the goalkeeper and scored. Mr. Gonzalez is now 22nd goal of the season. Mid-February. That wasn't a word. Mid-February. And he's very much on course for a 30-goal season. That's for certain. And, the goalkeeper's dived very prematurely there. And it's just allowed Gonzalez to roll it under him. Of course, Gonzalez's goals has to be put with an asterisk. The fact we play with 2 strikers most of the time. That's a goal for them. Bafflingly easy goal for them. Now, Christian's not in goal, so we can't necessarily rate the goalkeeping on that one with our second choice goalkeeper here. But defensively, that was a Zata, I think, who led him through. Worryingly. Wrexham are beating Southampton. Wrexham are beating Southampton. That's the game to be paying attention to right now, because Sutton are still Premier League. I don't think they've gone down. Yurchenko, Maluso. In fact, they were doing quite well, I seem to remember. At least a few seasons ago. Dahl, not got that one. You know what, 3-1. It's 3-1. Yurchenko's back on it, though. And opportunity to play Gonzalez, maybe, or even Dahl. Both of them are in a position to score here. Ramirez on the far side instead hits the bar. Yurchenko, Dahl, scores. And a 4-1 will just pull back now. In fact, here, there was a very good opportunity to play to either striker because that central defender was playing him on. But then hit the bar, Yurchenko was there, Dahl was there, everyone was fine, we've banged it in. Dahl's 6th goal of the season. It says he's only got 2 from 8, but that's Premier League. They've just scored from a free kick immediately afterwards. What is happening in this game? York versus Burnley doesn't disappoint, does it? Now the roles are reversed, we're, significantly well more regarded than they are. No massive upset for them, but it's still an entertaining game nonetheless. We've had 13 shots on target, so it's not like their goalkeeper's had an absolute stinker. He still made 9 saves. Gonzalez has been put through here though, and that's his hat-trick. Grimes finds Ramirez, and that's a fantastic header. That might be the best header I've ever seen in Football Manager. The control, the pace, the accuracy on that. Whew. I wish we could do normal through balls like that, let alone headed ones. Anyway, Maluso's lobbed that one into the box and Grimes is under it. And that might have been another good save. Wrexham retake the lead against Southampton as well. I noticed that one. Gonzalez has got a hat-trick. He's a bit tired now. We'll take him off. And 5 minutes to go. Right back's booked. Protect him. Oh, I probably should have brought Washington on. What am I doing? Get him some game time. Anyway, never mind. Godoy's headed over. And 5-2. Something about Burnley, man. Something about Burnley. What league are Wrexham in these days? League 1. 8th in League 1. They've had a nice little slow burn Football Manager progression through the leagues, I've noticed now. Were they promoted with us? No, it was a couple of years later. Yeah, but they've had a slow burn rise through the leagues. Gradually getting better in League 1. 7th last year, currently 8th this year. Well, with the way the Sporting match is lined up, with the 0-0 away from home, I think we'll do that with Chelsea, especially as the FA Cup quarter-final pops in between that and Leeds now anyway. So, yeah, I'll see you for Sporting and Chelsea. Until then, see ya. That's not my outro.